Cyberpunk series. This is series 4.3 entitled To Anyone. Um, we skipped a couple of sessions, as you may have noticed. So it's been a while. Just to re acclimate ourselves to where we are at and get a cat out of the way so we are looking at his butt. The group has taken on a job to protect a pop group called Trickshot in Night City for the next now 7 days. Um, they are taking over their villa up in Oakwood and are basically making it defensible. One person in the group took that seriously. That would be Stryker, while the rest of the group were basically asked by one of the members of the group, the pop group, to take her into the city to do illegal shit. The group commenced in illegal shit and did that illegal shit very quickly and very well, and basically secured information on behalf of the group member and some organization regarding um, early sins by the Netrunner and attempted sins during the effort were handled, discussed, and handled. That being said, the group have reconvened back at the mansion. Stryker, you knew they left. They've been gone for the better part of 3 hours. In the meantime, you've been spending your time coordinating with the only other serious party, Pepper, and also X, who is also on site, the normal security lead. Um, X has been in and out of the house, and you would know that inside of the house during this time, two of the pop or three of them are still remaining. It seems that Missy has left with them. It seems that um, Precious is asleep, and Lara De Palma and 2N are in the kind of lounge area, or the music area inside the house. Um, so yeah, you have 3 or 4 hours to kind of do whatever you want to kind of catch up with the group. Is there anything in particular that you want to have done?
Um, when I finished up with all of my stuff down like in that trapdoor area,
Mm-hmm.
uh, would Precious have already been asleep?
Yeah, she basically
Okay.
she came in. You kind of ran into her there, and then she went right into the house. I think she had an interaction with Carbon, and then went right up into her room. So she's been asleep since then.
Okay. Okay. I would have checked with it was Pepper and X.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I would have. Which one of those two was with Calvin and Crystal when they were out working on the walls and whatnot?
So that would have been Pepper.
Okay.
Yeah, Pepper is the one that came with you, and X is the one that effectively hired you.
Okay. Okay. I would I
Oh,
would check in with probably the both of them.
Okay.
Uh, assuming that they're like together for the
So
moment.
Pepper is out at the wall. It looks like she
Okay.
is
Okay.
disassembling one of the turrets, the one that is kind of at the weird angle at the front of the compound.
Hmm.
And like I said, X is going inside of the house, staying in for maybe 10, 20 minutes, coming back out, going to the security uh, home, side house, and if you're in there when she's in there, you can see that she's basically just checking the cameras.
Okay. Okay. I would go down in there. I would I'm gonna ask her Did you all get those what was it, the APs working along the wall?
The ADUs,
Yeah.
I think Pepper's trying to do what she can with those. I did ask that your associates pick up some things for that specific effort, namely ammunition and some other matters, while they're out.
Okay. I would I'm gonna sit down and just take the systems that I set up down in that tunnel, like that camera and all that, and hook it into the rest of the security system.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely works out. Not a problem. Everything seems to be checked out pretty clear. You take a couple more minutes to kind of go out to the motion detectors and kind of get a track from them, possibly utilizing some kind of drone or something to try and basically trigger the motion detectors and see that they're working right. Everything seems to be working great. By the time you've kind of established all that, you can see that Pepper has pulled the ADU out of that kind of column in the sidewall, and she's moved it into the complex a bit, and is basically setting up kind of like a tripod, um, which she's basically manufactured out of um, bars out of the closing gate that she's ripped out. Looks like she's done it in places so it won't be too much of a liability security wise, and some other kind of just or scaffolding type objects to create this kind of makeshift tripod. She's then kind of reassembling the ADU, and it looks like she's basically pulled the power source out of the wall with extension and has basically remounted it at that point instead.
Okay. I'm just gonna head on over to her.
Okay.
If it's a short distance, I walk. If it's a longer distance, I'm gonna hop on my bike and.
Yeah, it's like right outside of the you go down into that one kind of building. When you come out, she's kind of just north of you there.
Right.
I'll go ahead and stab us back to that map. And yeah, she looks over at you. You can see that she's got her link cables from her wrist attached to the ADU, and once you kind of come over, you can see that the ADU weaponry starts to kind of move, and she kind of turns around and looks over at you. Her eyes are kind of glowing red, and she kind of shuts them and then reopens them, and they're back to normal colors. And she goes, "I think I've got this one set up pretty well," and pulls her link cable back into her wrist.
All right. What about the others?
Their positions aren't bad. I think their pop-out mechanisms might need some greasing. I've got a can of WD-40. I'm going to get to work on those. This one was the most pressing issue. Um, Hopefully they come back with the right ammunition um, and everything so we can get these loaded and ready to go. Um, I think that they might need some... it doesn't look like they have very strong connector ports, um, and I'm not terribly savvy um, on how to control them. I think right now they're just automated, but if you want to, set up a control system in the security house, um, that might be preferred.
But where did where did you send the rest of the clowns?
Oh, I didn't send them anywhere. I was looking around for them, and then X told me she sent them out on an errand. From what I understand, though, they were taking one of the charges into the city.
All right. All right. Well, I'll get to work on setting up those connector ports to operate the system more cleanly. If need me, I'll be in the security house.
Sounds good. As you kind of continue working throughout the couple-hour process, what you're able to do with Pepper's assistance is coordinate all of the ADUs to kind of a gridded system, so that the cameras that are already kind of in place will basically link up with the cameras that are on the ADUs. So when an ADU pops, its camera signature will basically take over one of the other cameras and you'll be able to manually control that ADU from that camera's control port inside of the security office. Um, so if like somebody crushes through the gate, you'll see it on the first camera, and then you can toggle it so that the ADU pops, and then the camera control will kind of switch to the camera that's on the ADU, allowing you to fire from barrel mount. And basically, as you're kind of finishing up this process, the gates do open up, but they appear to be secure entry, and in drives Calvin's truck. It does look like it has a couple of bullet marks, not holes, just marks, kind of flash dings on the back of it that weren't present the last time you saw the truck. And yeah, you all pull up, and I believe Crystal would pop out first, and she's in the passenger seat, and Missy and Carvin would drop out of the truck shortly thereafter.
Hey.
Trouble did you guys get into?
Just picking up some supplies.
You, you would see that Missy kind of like leans into Carbon as she kind of comes around the truck, and she says, "Don't forget what I said. Don't fuck with me." And she turns around and looks over to Calvin as she walks by, and you can, Striker, you're a pretty smart lad. You can see there's like a distinct kind of like angry walk away from Carbon, and then as she's passing in front of Calvin, her walk changes from like angry walk to like just look at me walk.
Sway.
Yeah, there's a bit more like there's a noticeable difference, and you can see her kind of like looking kind of over her shoulder, but not like fully turning her head as she walks into the house. But that leaves you lot there.
The weakness in the security detail. Calvin can't be trusted.
I will take that woman wherever she wants to go. What's that? You want to go to hell? Sure. My friend works there.
Not regularly.
Fair.
No, never mind.
Oh no.
You guys think this gate is truck proof?
Not your truck proof.
But, I mean, considering some things that happened a little bit earlier, you think someone could just drive through this gate?
You all had some fun.
Just a little bit.
No. So how are things here?
Well, I closed up a major security breach on the inside of the building. Pepper
On the
here
inside, did ya?
Swear to God. Pepper here finally fixed up this ADU, and I got all the others hooked up to the system nicely.
Oh wait, the ADU's fixed?
For the most part.
So the one that had the weird mount up, like in its like station, you can see that that entire column has been ripped out, and they've taken the ADU like pop-up mechanism out, and it looks like they've set up a very awkward tripod, maybe like 20 feet into the compound, like on the grass, and have put the ADU like pop-up mechanism, like the sleeve that it jumps out of, on top of that tripod, and there are connector ports that just run out from underneath of it onto it. So basically replace a bunch of bricks and concrete with 3 pieces of metal that have been kind of welded together.
Sorry, that was Calvin asking.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't like
sorry.
zoning off while you were
Or was it just a ploy?
You know what?
This is why character voices are important.
It's called role playing, John. Jeez.
Apologies. I want to talk more about the tripod and the pop-up gun.
It sounds really cool.
He's
a
nerding
very
out
cool
about the
tripod.
tripod.
just because like Pepper told Calvin about like they need ammo and they got no ammo.
Well, you've got it in the back of the truck.
Yeah, we got it now.
Do I have the right ammo?
Yeah, that was part of why we went out.
I thought we just got a sniper rifle. This is legit.
But
yeah, the ADUs are for the most part, fixed.
All right, cool.
Sweet,
What was?
that was quick work.
Yeah, just one night.
It's been like 3 hours.
That was just 3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the breach on the inside?
There was a tunnel leading from what was that place?
Basically the hacienda's entryway.
Right. Yeah, so there was a tunnel leading from the hacienda that went right into the inside of the mansion.
So did you fill it with concrete?
I wish, but no. I locked it up and put some security stuff in there.
Yeah.
If anyone tries to get in through there, we'll know.
So do we need to station someone there, or like we just gonna know and then we have to like run and find out?
I don't think it would be productive to station somebody there just watching the trapdoor.
When you say new security stuff, are those new toys for me?
Yes.
Ah, yeah. Okay. You'll have to show me around there. Or you know what? I'll just do it now.
Yeah, if you flip
And then
open
he goes down and starts.
well, if you flip open your deck, you already have connection to it now that you're kind of within the Wi-Fi range. So you can immediately connect to the security console and start paying attention to the new add-ons, motion detectors, basically door kind of opening, closing notations, and you set up cameras down there as well, right?
Yeah, I set up a motion sensor right at the door,
Mhm.
door opening thing, and farther down the tunnel, I set up a camera.
Right. So you'd be able to see down the barrel of this tunnelway, and it looks like a basically.
Let's just say it was an infrared camera.
That's fair. The access port that you're looking at to you, Carbon, looks very much like a utilities kind of port. It seems that basically the way that this house is gridded, like it's connected to the rest of the utilities for Night City, is through this tunnelway.
Hmm. Interesting.
I would say, Crystal, as they're all kind of talking, you kind of look over at Missy as she's kind of heading up to the porch of the house. You can see that another woman is standing on the kind of porch as she approaches, looks at her kind of sternly, and then kind of shakes her head, and then walks past her. Missy kind of turns around angrily. You can see that there's a very concerned kind of look, and then it's almost like a fear sadness look as she kind of storms into the house. The woman she was talking to is now walking across the courtyard heading over to you.
Oh.
And
Okay.
you all don't say anything else before she approaches. The woman in question, Asian woman, she's currently wearing kind of like a tight skirt, thigh-high socks, very baggy sleeved kind of coat over a tight turtleneck shirt, jade earrings, and a couple of bits of cybernetics around the eyes. You can definitely tell that her eyes are top tier Kuroshi's, based on the kind of double iris slotting that appears to be present. And when she finally makes it over to you, she gives Calvin a look, nods her head. You're the driver?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Great. So, I understand that you and Missy had an agreement regarding you leaving the premises, and that's fine. Perfectly acceptable. Not a problem. I would like it if you make sure that when you do leave, you make sure to notify all parties as to where you'll be heading and exactly how long it'll take. Apologies, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm 2N, and she kind of reaches out with her hand to kind of offer it for a shake.
Oh, I mean, I'll shake.
And
Calvin.
nods her head. It's very important that X be made aware of all activity. we don't want to have any breaches or any information leaked regarding the premises. If it were to be found out that our security was lacking, as I understand it to be, that itself could be a potential problem. Looks over to Stryker kind of sternly. Wouldn't you agree?
I think I have to.
I appreciate the work you've done so far. Um, from what I understand, you did something regarding the current opening in our security.
Yeah. I think that's taken care of unless somebody really forces their way through that.
She thinks she's being sly, you know. Precious.
A bit, yeah.
I would like for you to make it so that it is impossible for her to leave the premises, and if any other individuals are being brought in with her, they be terminated immediately.
Fired?
Understood.
I think she means the other kind of fired.
Great. Well, I do have some business that I will have to be attending off premises shortly, and I would like for some of you to get an idea of what will be happening in 8 days, where we'll need you to at least have some idea of what will be going on regarding the trafficking of us girls to the stadium. If anyone's interested, I think I have 4 seats available. She turns and looks over towards the AV and kind of looks back to you all.
Yeah, I'm interested, but I gotta
Alright.
drop off my I didn't wasn't X the one that sent me out for the pickup?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was confused because she was like, X has got to know. And I'm like, didn't X know?
X knew about half of your job.
Yeah. I gotta go check in with X first, but I feel like it's important for me to go on that.
She'll be going with me, so if you wish to accompany, you can explain everything and you can work out the details of whatever is needed after the fact. She looks over across the way and can see Pepper. If anything needs unload, she kind of gestures towards her. If anything needs unloaded from your truck, she can handle it. Pepper kind of looks over to Calvin as she comes up and she says, "Did you get the ammunition?
Yeah.
Is it in the truck?" She kind of starts
Yeah,
making
should
her
be.
way to the bed. She reaches in, starts pulling up the canisters. Says, "I'll get these loaded up for you, Striker," and starts moving towards the ADUs. Well, it seems that that problem's already absolved itself. So she turns around and kind of starts walking towards the AV. Missy seems to have kind of like asserted herself to kind of have a walk. Like, you know, like there was an effort there that was very obvious. Whereas Tuen, when she moves, it is sultry, but you can't tell if it's intentional or not. Like, when she was walking over to you, it was kind of like, are we in trouble? And as she's walking away from you, you're like,
Are we in trouble?
are we still in trouble? Like, there's definitely a certain kind of just like, yeah, she moves like a panther, and she starts walking over to the AV.
I'm gonna follow her.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to get in the AV.
Anyone else?
I never got in one before.
No one has to come, by the way.
Sounds interesting. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna begin walking away on my newly acquired materials.
Okay. So you're gonna go stay on site.
Yeah.
Okay. So she moves up to the AV. The AV door opens. X comes walking out of the house and starts kind of hoofing it as you kind of get close to the AV. She takes her seat immediately. Tuen does, I mean, and X sits right next to her. And so it's kind of 8-seater. You've got two seats, kind of facing each other, and then two seats facing each other. So 2 people can kind of sit and face those 2 if you want, and then 2 people will kind of be sitting on their own on the other side. So which 2 want to take the, or one of you rather, since Carmen's not going, who wants to sit alone, and who wants to sit facing these 2?
Well, first before we get as before we get into the AV, as Carbon's walking away, I'm gonna turn around and just sort of shout him like, Corbin, if you see or hear anything, you contact us immediately.
Yeah, yeah, I gotcha. Go right back down to my stuff. I'll see you, sneaker.
You board. You board the craft. Like I asked, is anybody sitting with those two ladies in particular, and is one of you sitting off to the side, or are all three of you sitting away from them? Like, how do you want to?
I do have intention to try and start a staring contest with either 2N or X.
Okay, so then you'll be sitting in the seat across from them, and then
I'll just get in like whatever seat is available.
So Crystal.
Oh God. I don't want to stare at these ladies. They scary.
So Crystal sits by herself,
Yeah.
and Striker, you said you just jump in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a big frame.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone's scary in here.
Let's see.
It's scary. They have
Scary.
scary face.
Okay, so
Scarier than Party Girl that tears people apart.
you pop in and sit next
Whoa,
to Calvin.
whoa.
And the AV closes, takes off, going skyward. The smart windows very quickly change to being able to see outwards. You see 2N kind of reach over to the console, kind of between her and X, hit a button. You see kind of a glass display come up with a number of champagne glasses inside of it. She reaches in and grabs one, kind of holds it off to the side like this. She kind of stares at Calvin kind of intently. The blinking isn't happening. And Stryker, being a smart lad, go ahead and make a cyber tech roll.
Michael will know that Calvin doesn't stand a chance.
Oh man, what
Should be
was
under
it under?
it should be under technique over in the bottom right. Should be cyber tech.
Ah. Boom.
Smart
Well
enough,
done.
and that'll be a
Well done,
success.
fell
A success. You would know that the Kuroshis that she has basically have her tear ducts removed, so she doesn't have to blink, and also her eyelids are not her own eyelids. Neither are her bottom lids, so her eyes do not have to close. They remain open and are always kind of functioning.
That's really cool.
So she is never going to blink against Calvin.
How long do I last?
Googling.
I'm trying to
how
sit.
lo- How
and-
long can
Oh,
someone
now-
go
Now tell me,
without blinking?
how long does Calvin usually last with a woman?
Oh,
We're-
Oh man.
oh.
So I think the answer is probably the same in both accounts. 40 to, no, sorry. One of the world records for time without blinking was set 40 minutes and 59 seconds. So
That's
yeah,
definitely not true of Calvin in one account.
maybe just the 59 seconds. Fair go. But as she's kind of sitting there with the champagne, she kind of moves it to her lips, takes a sip very distinctly, looks over to X. Do you think that it resulted in any kind of breach? I don't think so. 2N looks to Calvin. Tell me exactly what happened with Missy.
Did Missy ask us to keep that private? I don't remember.
Yes.
Oh, then. Well. All I can really say about that is that Missy asked us to take her out into the city to try and take care of something for the house and keep it private.
Okay. So, X, would you mind explaining to this gentleman the nature of the discourse we're currently having? X kind of looks over to Calvin and says, Laura De Palma may have been the one who started your contract, but now that you've entered into the house, the Trickshot house, the Nippon Network, and by proxy, Lady 2N here, are the ones who hold your contract. Tuen kind of looks at you and says, "So what I mean to say is, if you wish to get paid for the job at hand and remain on premises, you'll answer my question."
Hmm. I'm in a tight spot.
X kind
Well,
of
all right then.
X kind of looks at you for a second and says, "Tuen, sorry, I think I have a possible solution that might benefit both parties." Tuen looks at X. "You could try." X looks at you and says, "Do you know if any information regarding you or any of the parties that were present with you in the city might have been leaked? Were there any instances of her being seen by the public or any private security systems?"
Oh no.
Oh, we burned all the data.
Mm,
Crystal, you can overhear this, so
yeah.
you're on the other side.
She's squirming. We squirming over here.
You're telling me you guys went out in the city and you were not seen by any security systems at all?
Uh, there
So,
may have been a fan.
do you say that out loud?
Yeah.
Tuen turns to X and says something in Japanese. And X nods her head and then replies back with something in Japanese. Tuen kind of bites down on her teeth and then looks over at Calvin. "Okay. Again, no reprimand, and I thank you for your honesty." It sounds like she's more talking over you to Crystal rather than to you. Perfectly acceptable. Did she strike the fan?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
Yeah.
X nods her head. Tuen says something very quickly and curtly to X in Japanese, and then reaches into her pocket, pulls out her agent, kind of holds it up, and turns it so that it switches into video mode. And you're basically watching the incident from the camera's perspective as the lady's getting punched in the face.
I thought it was a child. Or a
The-
teen.
It was a young lady, teenager,
Oh, okay.
teenage girl, getting punched in the face. And then the video kind of ends. Looks like it's up on, the data terms. She puts that back in her pocket.
Saber tube or something?
Yeah. Oh. Wait, no. Hold on. Wait, what'd you say it was?
I was like, cyber tube.
No,
right?
No, you gotta do it right. So, YouTube is one of the big popular, video sites. What's another big popular video site?
Live League?
LiveLeak? Okay, so LiveTube is the name of the
Okay.
Cyberpunk version. It's a conglomerate of those two companies, which were bought by Microgal. Anyway,
Oh, you were gonna say micro, like from Dirty Jobs.
Oh, see, I was going with Maple.
Maple.
Oh.
I like it. But it doesn't have what's the company that owns Google?
Alphabet.
Alphabet. That's what it is.
Alphabet.
So Alpha Apple.
Alpha Soft.
Alfalfa.
Alpha Soft.
Finding
Alpha
Soft.
butts.
I like Alpha Soft. That's pretty good. But anyway,
That's fun.
switching
Oh,
back
I'm
to
good at these.
she puts the phone away, kind of
Good in advertising.
letting the sound of the video kind of terminate and kind of leave the air kind of quiet for a second. And she says, "It's likely that the individual that was attacked, or perhaps her wards, guardians, what have you, may try and coordinate legal a legal response to the events that happened earlier today. And as terrible as that can be, I'd rather that not be the case. So, I just want to let you know that because of that, I've had X coordinate with Danger Girl to make sure that her, the victim of the assault, and all her relatives are dealt with." And she kind of places her hands on her chin like this and kind of looks at you. "So, I just want you to understand the gravity of the situation. If this video were allowed to get out, unfortunately, um, Nippon Network was able to demand a copyright infringement, block the video from being broadcast, and obtain the original data before it was allowed to get out too far. Undoubtedly, someone has it. I mean, it was up for about 30 or 40 minutes, and that's just how the net works. But the point is no one will be able to follow up on the video, and we can claim that it was a lookalike. Lots of situations that we can turn to our advantage. But you must understand that every single thing that is done outside of the compound will have consequences. Do you understand?
Yes, mate.
Okay. I was told that you would be very professional, but you would also be very unorthodox. And I've seen both of those things displayed to me while you've been here. I am not unhappy with what we're doing together. I just want you to understand what we are doing here together. And as she kind of says that, you kind of look out the window and can see that you're basically flying over downtown, kind of in the middle of the city at this point. And, yeah. This will basically be the same flight path that we will utilize when it's concert day. The ship is slowly kind of descending in the buildings. And we will be making the same kind of pathway through the building to the stage. Once we get to a certain point, your services will no longer be needed. Well, so long as to say, your services will no longer be needed while we are on the premises. Once we return back to the AV, of course, you should be on hand and ready to move. And if security breaches or issues arise while we are at the venue, you will be expected to assist in any manner that you can. The craft lands kind of out on a helipad that seems to be a kind of like halfway down the building that you're kind of landing near or on, and it seems to just be kind of jutting out the side of the building. From this vantage point, just kind of looking out over the city, it looks like you are basically kind of in the meat of most of the office buildings of downtown. A lot of the corpo buildings that are kind of present. Caroline Medina's not too far from here, her building. But this building is kind of jutting out of the convention center, which you would know has the largest kind of stadium seating ever since the I can't remember the name of the stadium off the top of my head, but the one over at Pacifica got taken over by Voodoo Boys. She hits the button, opening the latch mechanism. You kind of step out onto the balcony or onto this kind of landing pad, and a couple of security officers who you would see are all female and are all kind of wearing kind of black suits, very Arasaka looking, but you can see that the logo for Danger Girl is kind of present on their vests. Kind of come out to meet Tuen. One of them says something to her in Japanese, and she nods her head, and she kind of turns and looks back at you lot. We won't be going inside. This entire journey was just to show you what the pathway will be for us on the night. And we can review it, of course, and she lifts up her agent, taps it, kind of gestures towards Stryker. You hear it ping on your agent, and she says, "I've sent you the route. You can disseminate that through your group." That being said, this is where we will land. This is where we will enter. We should be met by the same security detail as we descend down the skyscraper, and she looks down kind of at the ground and says, "To the stadium below." Any questions?
No.
Sounds pretty straightforward.
Another note that I want to make sure you're aware of. All of the women have had their trauma team insurance cards updated to platinum. Unfortunately, heartbeat monitors aren't present on all of our ladies. Precious does have one. She has a Biomon installed. But Missy and Lara De Palma do not. Um, so if Precious were to be wounded, hurt her in any way, and her heart rate or her biological functionality were to drop for any reason, trauma team would be on the scene within 30 seconds or to a minute. I believe their or highest response time in the city was a minute 20, and that was somewhere on the north side in the military section. That said, trauma team would be on the scene to rescue her and bring her to a medical facility as soon as possible. Lara De Palma and Missy both will be given chips for any reason if you feel that they are being put at risk, any risk at all. All you need to do is break their cards in half. Trauma team will be on the scene in their response time and will evacuate with the card holder only. So if you want to remove these elements from a potentially hostile situation, that is how you would do it. Any questions?
As their cards.
The cards haven't been given to them yet. I believe they will be delivered sometime either tonight or tomorrow morning.
So they'll be carrying the cards?
They should be, yes.
Okay.
Is this AV fully bulletproof?
It is not. It does have bullet resistance. However, high-powered riflery, heavy weaponry would probably penetrate.
Does it fly in between skyscrapers on our route?
It does.
So the AV is basically a flying limo, more or less.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Would it be able to pull up over the skyscrapers on our route?
So you're suggesting a higher altitude for the route?
If we don't know where the danger is coming from, can someone just post up in one of these windows?
Most buildings have security details at their base level that disallow individuals from ascending them. And you kind of have this quick kind of sudden flashback to you at Zeta Tech in that whole situation. And then it kind of snaps back to her. And she says, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem, but if you wish to augment the route, we can certainly discuss that. I would ask that you direct any changes that you have, recommendations therein, to the leader of your group. She says as she gestures to Stryker.
Is Striker.
All right.
Everyone else is like, it's fucking new.
Who's this guy?
I've been here.
Have you? No, I'm kidding.
I think it's all pretty straightforward.
Great.
Yeah.
X, you and I will remain here, and the AV will return back to the villa with you in tow. We will return through a different means, but probably not tonight. Do keep an eye out on the mail receptacle. That's where the trauma team cards should arrive. Hopefully tonight, more likely tomorrow morning. Enjoy your flight back. She turns. X starts kind of following behind her, stops for a second, turns around, walks back over. Her commentary on Precious's guests. Probably not a great idea to murder people outright. However, deal with them and make sure that they know not to come back through that way, whichever way they came in. If Precious is to go out and find any other guests. Hopefully she won't be too apt to try and leave tonight. It's Monday, and she's probably tired from the weekend, but who knows.
Eye on her.
She kind of gives you like a shoulder pat, and then kind of turns and heads back after 2N. The
Wait, since Precious has a biomonitor, can't I connect to that?
yeah, if you have a
If
means of doing so, yeah,
yeah,
you'd
so
have
I
to
could
convince her to let you do it
yeah.
because it's more of a physical tether. But yeah,
Then you
Then I
can
could
track if her heart rate suddenly goes up, right?
bingo.
you hop back in the AV and start to take off. Meanwhile, back at the house, Carbon, you kind of go into the security office, check the computer consoles, make sure everything's working all right. Do some kind of preliminary tests, popping the ADUs and just checking them, and the sight shift. So, what I mean to say is like you've got a camera that's looking down the barrel of the driveway, right? But it's not connected to the ADU. When you hit the pop-up button, the ADU pops up. The camera that was currently working, that screen changes to the ADU's camera, gun-mounted camera, and you're now seeing through the ADU's module instead. And the same is true of all the other kind of weaponry on premise. Um, the passageway seems to be clear. Setup is really good, actually. Um, and yeah, anything else you wanted to do while at the house?
Not really. Just gonna check through all that kind of stuff, but then when I get a minute, also look through some of the data that I got from our mission
Okay.
that I collected.
There's
Just
a
perusing that.
there's a
Which data?
there's a bit of information present regarding Miss the information you gathered, um, and I think I sent most of it to you already.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's
So
not my thing.
no worries there. Um, and I think I kind of answered a question you had asked a while ago regarding that information. So perfect. Um, but yeah, not much going on besides. If you're kind of keeping an eye out in the cameras, really not much going on. If you kind of pop out of the security office for kind of a bit of fresh air, you can see that kind of up on one of the balconies of the house, um, kind of just sitting up on the second floor, kind of staring out over Night City, is one of the girls. It looks like it is Precious, and she's kind of just wearing kind of like a slip dress and smoking a cigarette, kind of staring out over Night City as she stands on the balcony out there. Okay. If nothing else, shortly thereafter, the AV will return, coming down. This is by nightfall. You all would see that Precious is out on the balcony still. Looks like she's probably got like 6 or 7 cigarettes kind of put out in her ashtray, from what you can tell from this vantage point.
During our flight, I would have shared like
Okay.
the route with everybody.
Okay. Yeah, when you pop it over, basically it's pretty direct. I can go ahead and just kind of give you like a really rough hand doodle. So it'll go something like this. Like that. Oh, you're not on that page. Let me go ahead and shift
Yeah,
the
I
page.
know we can't see that.
Sometimes I forget who I am. I also forgot to play a music. I am a bad storyteller, man. But yeah, you should see a route, kind of loosely drawn in red.
Cool, cool, cool.
Okay.
So I'm also going to, while I'm in the system, making my changes and stuff. I do want to actually, it's a full-on net architecture, right?
Yes.
So in how many levels?
There are in the core one 7, and then in the sub precious one it's 1.
Okay. So in the first level, I actually want to drop in my killer
Okay.
Black Ice, and in the second level, I'm going to drop in my Hellhound Black Ice.
Okay.
Just res both of them preemptively.
Got it. Sounds good. Um, uh, that doesn't technically require an interface roll, but I'm going to have you make an interface roll. for something. What'd you get?
14.
All right. So you notice something strange as you're kind of floating up the ice throughout the levels. You notice that there appears to be a perpendicular level to 2 that is not a sub level. It seems to just be kind of like a partition that you didn't notice before. You're only noticing it now that you're placing something inside of this level.
Hmm. Can I access the, like, get through that partition?
Yeah, so, I mean, again, it doesn't look like it's locked or anything. It looks like it's just kind of like. You're pretty sure that it was concealed based on its just kind of proximity. But as you kind of investigate this partition, you realize that this partition was actually a attempt to build a partition similar to what Precious has, and its own kind of subset neck architecture. But it looks like it has been abandoned. And based on everything you're kind of learning from this section, it doesn't look like there's anything really left in it besides a very just kind of, for lack of a better word, old file. It looks like it is pre-meta. Like it doesn't look like it was kind of formed with the combination language. It looks like it was formed with older net languages.
And can I access that?
Yeah, Meta can decipher it. So what you would realize is it looks like this specific file appears to hold a daemon, and the daemon seems to have no operational function. Looks like it's just a blank slate daemon that hasn't been fully programmed.
Hmm. Can I pull that? Can
Yeah.
I pull that demon out?
Yep. Doing so, surprisingly, very strange to you when it happens, is the partition case. So, like, when you pull the file out, the entirety of that sub-partition in level 2 just disappears. Which is definitely strange, but basically it's kind of like removing a load-bearing wall, and apparently that demon was one.
Huh.
But yeah, you pull the file, and you want to throw it on your deck, keep it in the net architecture, shove it in Precious's.
I'm gonna keep it. Yeah, I'm gonna throw it in Precious's one
Okay.
just for now because I don't have room for it on my deck.
Okay, perfectly fine. Yeah, so you would hear the AV kind of landing outside, and yeah, you three pop out of the AV, and you can see that the only person that's visible of um, the group is Precious up on a balcony smoking a cigarette. Where do you three head?
Keep accidentally muting myself, but if X hadn't said that, I was totally just gonna spill the beans. Um, I'll head over to Precious, and
She's up on
I
the
don't.
balcony, so you kind of like walk underneath her. She kind of looks down at you. Hey,
It's it cool if we chat.
I guess. What's your name again?
Calvin Gibson?
Have we met?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're the guy Missy was talking about. Yeah, 1 second. You see her kind of walk back into the house. A couple minutes pass. She comes downstairs. She's wearing a robe over her slip dress now, and she's pulling out another cigarette. Looks like she's discarded the one she had, and kind of sets it to her mouth and lights it. How can I help you?
Well, I'm kind of curious about the relationship you guys actually have with the EPON network. Seems a bit more overbearing than I originally expected.
Yeah, it's a shit show. Tuen came from Japan looking for people. I was already working kind of under Nippon Network, so my contract got forcibly shifted since my parents had a strange kind of archaic law program called a conservatorship on me until I'm 25. Um, very strange stuff. But yeah, I have to do these shows with these girls, and they've turned out pretty cool. Twin can be kind of a bitch, but it's pretty fun stuff. They're really creative, especially Charlotte.
Um, like, so is the reason why you guys are under house arrest essentially because your contract?
No, not really. Kind of. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to be leaving, but fuck that, right? I mean, how else am I gonna get fucked? It's not like we had people like on site, like hot studs like you, but her eyes kind of like wander for a second. I'm sorry, I really shouldn't say that, and don't tell Missy I said that shit. I think she has a thing for you, so. Anyway, yeah, so not really, but yes. Basically, we only started living here about 2 weeks ago, and
2 weeks ago.
yeah, we recorded about 3 months ago our first album, and so a lot of the songs were pre-written and kind of already done by Charlotte and 2N, and they're really good at making music, a lot better than the corporate fucks that were making my music for me when I was growing up. But it's it's just different. It feels like there's like some real emotion in it compared to just slutty shit that I was singing before. But,
It's so on point.
it's good stuff. And I like that part of it. And Missy's great. She's got rhythm. She's real strong, like musically. I mean, and fucking physically. She's a ass beater. She grew up here. It's harsh, man. I grew up in LA.
Did they buy this place for you guys?
Yeah, well,
Or did they build it?
apparently Nippon Network already owned the place. It was used to belong to Arasaka, but like after whatever fucking happened, I was born way after that, so I don't even know. But yeah, so like Arasaka's not allowed stateside or whatever, and so like I guess like they sold off all their properties, and since Nippon Network was already like you know kind of here, it bought up a lot of those assets like super cheap. And according to X, this place is a shithole. And I mean, it seems pretty nice to me. Um, the house I was living in LA was kind of bigger, but I really like the view. Like, Night City is probably fucked up. I haven't really been in there too much. I've kind of been staying up here in the Oakwood kind of area, but like, it just looks pretty from afar, and like, I don't know. I've always had kind of a mind of like, if it looks really pretty, it's probably fucking gross inside.
I think X is probably right about this house. It seems pretty shit.
But yeah, as those two are talking, Striker and Crystal, I mean, you two are kind of exiting the AV. Is there any kind of direction you're heading to in particular?
I'm going to go over to the security house where I assume Carbon is.
Yep. Just as Striker's kind of entering in Carbon, you're kind of messing around with your data and stuff. Not really paying attention to the screens, I assume.
You said not really paying attention to the screens?
Yeah, you're kind of focusing on moving that Damon kind of like.
Oh, yeah.
So Striker, you kind of walk in and kind of look up at the screens, and kind of notice that your camera system, um, it appears to be picking up something kind of moving around inside the tunnel. You kind of look at it. You can't really make out what it is, but you kind of look at Carbon as he's not really paying attention to the screens, like right there in front of you. You know?
Carbon,
Oh, what?
what's going on in there?
Where?
In the tunnel. The new camera I set up.
Oh, I have no idea. I was doing something completely different. Let me get in there real quick. I'll go ahead and access the camera.
Okay. You kind of snap in, kind of paying attention to it, and can see that there seems to be someone very quietly, or trying to be quietly, kind of moving. And what you're noticing, the two of you, kind of both going, what? Is the motion detector and the door trigger don't appear to have been activated.
Where was the motion detector and door trigger? Was it on the city side or our side?
City side.
Okay. Can I make out the figure at all? I know it's
He is wearing, looks like kind of like a hockey jersey. He is wearing kind of really flashy looking pants. They kind of have like reflective, like kind of paneling on them. Looks like he has a bulge kind of around the waist area. He is Caucasian. Looks like his hair is kind of done up in braids, like three of them. And then kind of the three braids are kind of tied on the back of his head. He's wearing a very fancy looking watch from what you can tell. And he looks like he's trying to kind of like move very slowly through the tunnel and very cautiously. And then you see him look up and see the camera and kind of go, like, you don't really hear him. But you're pretty sure he said, oh shit. And then he kind of turns away from the camera and starts running down the tunnelway. It's at that point, shortly thereafter, the motion detector triggers, the door sensor tricks, and he's out.
okay. So he's gone. It just triggers the motion detector and the door trigger. So whatever happened, whoever that was, I'm not sure.
Well, I'm off to make a better lock.
Yeah, your sensors didn't go off in between, unless this person was living in that tunnel and you didn't see him like already. Yeah, I don't know how that's possible, but
I'm gonna go over to like my pile of stuff and I'm gonna pop my current arm off.
And you hear Pepper, who's been standing behind you the whole time. Are you going down there?
Yep, and I'm gonna pop my other arm on.
You see her pull out a shotgun and kind of like throw on a strap of what appear to be grenades, and kind of look at you. I'm ready.
I'm gonna pick up my shotgun and all right, let's go.
All right.
oh, wait, Stroker, do you have any kind of like something like a turret or whatever that maybe we could pop down there that I can access? I can come with my Malorian arms. Either way, I can come help you, but not much I can do with just a camera.
We should be okay, Pepper says. It's just one guy, right?
Hopefully it's just one guy, but it would not be a bad idea to set up a turret down there.
Yeah, I just mean in general, like for the future as well.
Do we have any Pepper? Do we have any spare ADUs?
Not really.
No.
I think I can. I got an idea, but
Maybe once we're all done here, I can throw together a remote-controlled gun.
Well, I've got an idea, but you'll have to talk to Crystal because I'm not going to do it.
All right.
Well, I also have an idea. Whenever you're done, if you want to help me rig something up with your, your tech skills. I'm more of the brains, so. But that's later. That's later.
Yeah, let's take care of this problem first.
Okay. As you're exiting the security place, Crystal, where were you headed after exiting the AV?
I was going to go explore the house
Okay.
because Crystal hasn't actually been in the house yet.
Okay. So you'd walk past Calvin as he starts communicating, and then walk past Precious as she exits the house to go and talk to Calvin.
Hmm.
You kind of enter into it, and you would hear music kind of coming from just beyond the foyer. You would see the blonde woman, Lara De Palma, kind of at the piano playing. And it looks like that's kind of the main entrance unless you're wanting to go upstairs.
Um, Not too concerned about the upstairs, just the ground floor.
Okay.
Also, I'm gonna go ahead and sorry to interrupt, but agent out a to everyone that there is a security breach, potential security breach,
Okay.
just so everyone is aware. And I'm gonna begin cycling through the cameras.
Okay.
Crystal automatically wants to know where, and she needs to shoot.
So you would.
I'll send you the information on where we're at right now.
If
and
you
what we're checking out.
If you stop for a second and kind of look out, there's a lot of glass like windows to kind of look out of on the first floor. You look out and can see Calvin and Precious still talking, kind of coming to the close of where we left off. By the way, David, and you, David, also your character would also see Stryker and Pepper, shotguns over shoulders, bags and kit ready to go, moving towards basically the utilities house, which is this building kind of here.
Yeah.
And they make their way that way. Do you want to intercept them at all or stop them, Calvin?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, if I know where it's at, and I know what Crystal or not Crystal,
Well, you got the text, but you're still talking to Precious.
Precious.
So,
Yeah, I sent you all the information.
whether or not you stop the conversation to look at your agent or not is up to you.
Oh, then I'd probably keep talking to her.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Pepper or Stryker kind of stopped to talk to you. Like they look like. Actually, sorry to speak for you, Chris. Do you want to grab Calvin on the way, or are you and Pepper good enough to head in?
Okay, I would have seen that he sent Carvin sent out the message, so we're just gonna walk past him
Okay.
because he knows already.
Or so you would hope. Okay, you two continue on. But Crystal, a bit more vigilant. You do check your phone, look outside, and would see those two kind of moving past. Do you want to pop out and go and chase them, or do you want to go back inside and make sure everyone's safe here?
I'd pop my head out and find out what's going on.
She kind of pops out and yells, "Hey, what's going on?" The second you kind of yell out that way, the music inside stops. Calvin and Precious kind of turn to look over at you, then turn to see Stryker and Pepper, and are kind of now kind of listening to the conversation midway. Pepper kind of like looks over her shoulder and like very deliberately keeps walking, but like speeds up. But Chris,
The saga continues.
do you stop to turn and speak to Crystal?
Yeah, since Crystal yelled out like, "What's going on?" I'm like, I say, Carbon saw someone on the camera. We're gonna take care of it.
You need me? Shoot some heads?
It doesn't hurt.
Well, guess I'm going with him.
All right.
Pulls out gun.
You very quickly catch up with Stryker.
Oh
and-
boy, here I go killing again.
What did I miss
She's
just now?
she's gonna be very disappointed.
Pepper stops at the door, sees that you're approaching. You see her arms immediately shift into defensive mode as you kind of move over. Shotgun kind of hanging off her shoulder strap, and then she kind of opens the door as you two approach and kind of enters in. And she says to Crystal, kind of deliberately, "I'll take point, hold stern." And you would know that means that she's going to be up front with the shotgun, and she'll expect you kind of behind her. She'll keep low, and you keep high. Solo talk.
Yeah.
Old Stern.
three of you descend down. It seems like
What you're
Pepper.
saying is that she's a bottom.
The saga continues.
Pep- Pepper seems to try to kind of like roll out to the front with you, Striker, and kind of hold a position ahead of you, very
Okay.
deliberately. And she kind of keeps lower to the ground. She kind of is kind of doing like a duck walk almost, and is very intently doing so. And you see that her uh, uh, targeting scope is kind of flaring. It's kind of like a light blue color as she's kind of keeping it out
Yeah.
towards ahead of her.
I'm gonna follow her lead on this because she's a professional thing.
Yeah, and I assume Crystal, kind of seeing that this is kind of a dank, kind of like almost aliens, like the movie Aliens corridor. And you don't know what you're kind of walking into. Situation, serious face, Militech Ronin up, and like
Yeah.
keeping the beat in, and basically Striker. Rather, Crystal, do you want Striker between you and Pepper, or do you want to shift him behind you and kind of get right behind Pepper? Tactically, like, both are valid options. If you're wanting to protect Striker, you want to be behind him and kind of cognizant of what's behind you as well. If you're wanting Striker to be kind of not protected from all sides, just from the front, then you want to shift him to the back. It's up to you.
Yeah. She's not so worried about getting hurt. She'd rather make sure Striker's protected.
Okay.
He's pretty dang useful to the team.
So kind of blocking him in the middle, the three of you kind of move out into the hallway. As you're kind of moving towards like the middle area, and this is about where the camera would basically be set up, you start hearing kind of a rattling sound, kind of like a clicking of metal. You don't know where it's coming from, but it's a distance ahead, you're sure. Very aggravating for a techie to hear something that you don't understand,
Yeah.
and it's definitely metallic. The three of you kind of move into view of the camera. So at this moment, Caravan, you're kind of looking down at the camera and can see them entering into view. As you kind of proceed onwards,
And I'm cycling all of the cameras on the facility as well.
okay, yeah.
Just as we're doing that between stuff.
So far as to see, you the only thing that's kind of popping up on the camera is like the main kind of courtyard one, like right outside of the porch, kind of near the veranda. You can see that Calvin and Precious, who we'll get back to here in a second, are either continuing their conversation or separating, depending on what David chooses to do in that conversation. But yeah, the three continue onwards. You notice that there appears to be a panel kind of shifted on the wall. The panel in question looks like it was an access panel that has been basically relieved of its position. But what you're noticing about this access panel is the only way to shift it from its position is not from the outside, like where you're at, but from inside of the tunnel. The tunnel is kind of like a Jeffries tube, very, very narrow, and it has a number of different wires, but it doesn't look like those have been messed with at all. But it does look like someone came in through there, and you would basically understand that this is how they bypassed the door and motion detectors down the way. They entered in kind of near halfway into the hold. You do notice that there are a couple of bits of material, cloth material, that have been kind of torn off on the kind of side panel, kind of a rough shifting of the panel. And it does look like a wallet is kind of laying on the ground near the panel.
I'm gonna relay that information to.
Well, they're seeing it as they come up to that broken panel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Free
Well-
money. Pick it up.
The very first thing that happens when you kind of get there, though, and just again kind of making sure you understand Pepper as a character, she sees the panel, kind of moves up to the hold, and kind of looks inside just barely. Then she kind of quickly lifts up her shotgun, hits a switch, turning on a flashlight, snaps inside of the tunnel this way, and then very quickly snaps back out, snaps in the other way, and then snaps back out, and then she says clear, and then moves forward and takes a defensive position away from the tunnel, letting you guys investigate. Crystal reaches down, free money, picks up the wallet, and meanwhile, Striker, you are.
We have any IDs or anything in there?
That's what I was actually going to check.
It's got 4 things inside of it. It's got a credit chip account. It's got a Trauma Team Platinum card. It has a looks like a car key, which is basically like a card chip, and then it
Is
has
this Missy's wallet?
an ID on it, and the ID in question that you're looking at appears to belong to an individual named Jason Forsyth.
Well, he clearly didn't have enough of that. All hands-
Forsyth with a
Oh,
TH.
Scythe. I heard Forsyth.
I could tell what you meant.
The joke,
What you were
works,
thinking.
the joke works for me. It's fine.
Yay.
I thought it was Foresight.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one deaf.
Once you said that, I realized I couldn't tell either way, so that's why I said that.
The picture of the individual is of a very douchey-looking kind of jock Caucasian male, and it looks like his hair in the picture is blonde and kind of done up in braids. Looks like
My
3.
nemesis. Douchey
So-
preps.
So it's the character we saw in the camera.
It does match the guy pretty much that you saw on the camera face-wise, but it's a much clearer image.
Okay.
I'd be handing that to Striker.
just
The
gonna-
ID.
Yeah. I'm just gonna put it away for now. We'll look at it more
Yeah.
in the light. Well,
Did
Hey,
he
guys.
actually leave?
Oh, so can I? Are we? I don't know if we ever really talked about this with agents. I know that we can like text basically.
So there's a
Can I
method.
have like a live chat going?
So there's a method that you can perform called a hollow, and basically what a hollow does is if you are looking down at the phone, it's like live chat or like FaceTime, but you don't have to have the phone like looking at you. You can kind of be holding it off to the side, and if you have optics, I think it's Times Square Marquee or whatever they're called now, the heads-up display, the person's image will pop up in yours, and your image will be captured to be sent to the other side. And if you do it in picture-in-picture, you can basically be walking around doing something and have the person's face kind of over in like the top left corner. You
so
do-
it's like Google Glass.
yeah, it's like Google Glass, but in your eyeballs. And then if you have multiples, you can have like them over kind of off to the side and be kind of communicating with a bunch of different people simultaneously while operating.
So it's like
What?
a Discord overlay.
Oh,
I
God.
don't have optics,
You can-
so
I
but
don't think
can
any
do
of us
audio,
do.
right?
Yeah, you can also put your virtuality goggles on and put it into
Okay.
them as well, so that works fine. But the other thing too is you can also set it up so it's or person talking only, similar to like a Zoom chat. So like you can just
Okay.
be that one person who's talking who's being shown.
I do want to pop in the middle of their talking and stuff and tell them like, hey, if you guys are gonna move up past that point, I can drop down in the tunnel, do what I'm doing on my virtuality goggles, and try to keep an eye on my peripherals to that with my to keep you guys covered.
Absolutely do that.
Okay. The Crystal, you're kind of still looking at the credit chip account. Looks like it's pretty reputable. Like it's a higher end kind of financing company that the credit chip account seems to be going through. The car key is for a Rayfield vehicle. Rayfield is like the pinnacle of automobile. Like it's the high end of the car market. They do a lot of hypercars, which are really sleek, fancy sports cars. The AV you just rode in is a Rayfield Excalibur, which is a top-end Rayfield vehicle. But they also do a lot of wheeled vehicles as well. The trauma team is a platinum card. So it seems that
Yeah.
this person, whoever this guy is, was well to do. Strange that he'd be crawling around in this. But you would see that his birth date is it's 2045. Looks like he's about 21 years old.
Some douche living off daddy's money.
It's usually how it goes, isn't it?
Hey, John, to specify, when I get into, I didn't say how I'm getting in position in the tunnel.
Hmm.
Getting in position, hook up the Morian arms, um, basically in a way that I can keep it drawn, maybe like crouch down against my knee or something
Okay.
to where it's comfortable. And I'm utilizing what I can see through my virtuality goggles in the physical world versus my camera feed to kind of line up
I get
the
you.
Malorian arms like perfectly to that vent, essentially.
Understandable.
Like I'm trying to like coordinate that as best as I can so I can be as accurate as
So
possible while watching them.
you're using the camera to see, and you're
Yeah.
basically standing a distance away, so you're kind of staring down the barrel at that side.
Yep.
Before you get to that position, as you're kind of focused on the virtuality goggles, let's shift back to Calvin real quick because I don't want to forget him, and I want to make sure if he splits off, he splits off. So Precious, kind of as everyone's kind of yelling back and forth, she kind of looks at you and says, "Do you got something you need to do, or do you want to keep talking?"
Well, I still kind of want to keep talking.
Oh,
But is that
yeah.
because is what's going on back there? One of your callers?
I don't know. Probably. No one's ever come back, but whatever. I mean, maybe. Are you guys gonna kill him?
Yeah. So NN is pretty.
Yeah, we're gonna
NN.
kill him.
Yeah, NN. So NN is pretty intent on making sure that these trips you're having is like basically if you want to keep having fun like this, you can't keep doing it like this.
Okay, well, serious question. I don't know if I'm like really into Striker or anything, and Missy's already kind of called dibs on you, but like, does Carbon fuck or what?
Carbon? Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess like, I don't know. Pepper's kind of weird, and like, I don't know. Crystal's kind of hot, but like, what about Odette?
I don't know her well enough to really answer that question. Like not like that.
Well, fair enough. I mean, Striker's not bad. He's just kind of got like, he's kind of got like daddy vibes, and it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. He'd probably want me to like dress up all like, kind of like those corpos used to do. It's fucking gross, but
Don't you like Rose?
sometimes depends how drunk and or high I am, I guess. As that's happening, Carbon, serious face, hand on the Malorian arms, virtuality goggles on, walking out like someone playing Pokemon Go, heading over to the utilities access. You both see that. She kind of goes, okay, maybe not. The goggles make him look like a dork.
Well, all right. If you're interested in the party, I guess you like
But like, no,
shoot your
seriously,
shot.
seriously,
But
is he gonna like kill? Are you guys gonna kill like whoever's down there?
that's what we were directed to do. Whether or not we do that, I guess is up to us.
Okay, I know this may like sound like a little weird or whatever, but like, can I watch?
Nah.
Oh, all right. Well,
Like, what if we?
Crystal would let her.
fuck.
Yo,
Okay.
this girl's got a problem. But like, all right, what if we like got
Yeah.
you like a?
Crystal has a humanity of 3. She'll let anyone watch.
Oh man, that frame fucked you up.
What'd you say to her?
What's my humanity?
Oh, me? I was gonna say like, what if we got you a brain dance machine in the interim? But like, I'm sure they could like.
No, that's different. Brain dance is fucking boring. I don't like it. Like, there's something off about like the way things feel. You know, like it's someone else's feelings. It's not like your feelings or like your reactions. So like you're reacting to someone else's shit, and like I feel like there's a lot of headspace that kind of goes with feelings. You know, like for example, she like reaches forward and like kind of touches your neck. How do you react?
I guess I'll let her.
Okay, like at first it's kind of like whoa, and then she kind of like rubs her fingers like up your neck, and kind of like traces them along your jawline and kind of like slips off of it. Like, see, like I understand like after talking to you for a bit, like you know who you are and like why your skin is probably so harsh, and like why it feels like you know you are like very manly and like you do like really masculine shit. But like if I were like brain dancing that moment, I wouldn't have the context of like who you are and why we're talking. And so it'd just be like raw feelings and like that shit's boring. So basically what I'm saying is like I know who I want to fuck and like who I want to be around, and braindance kind of forces you to just be with like whoever is in the dreamscape, I guess. And that shit is whack. She pulls out another cigarette, kind of looks at it, and it's her last one. She goes, "Well, fucking save it."
Can't really scratch that itch. Have you thought about uh riding highs that aren't sex?
So sex is fine, I guess. It's all right. It, mainly the most fun part about it isn't really like the act or whatever. It's more or less like watching someone basically turn into absolute pudding because they're like, "Oh my god, this is precious. I get to be with her. She's like famous and shit." And I'm like, "Yeah, I own you. You're nothing to me." And like most of the time, I like really enjoy making them feel like shit afterwards because like I like looking down on people a lot. Is that weird?
It's not something I'm into.
So like I tell people up front about that shit, but like even knowing that they really like it, I guess. This one guy, Jason, he was really fucking depressing. He's got some serious daddy issues, and like I think the only reason he ever fucking pulled in the first place is because he's got money from his dad. Piece of garbage. Meanwhile, cut back downstairs into the basement. You take position with the Malorian arms. Everyone else kind of like looking at the tunnelscape. I just want to check Crystal and Pepper. It looks like Pepper is kind of set and ready to go and move towards the door to check it out. This breach in the tunnel space is obviously a problem for you. I mean, just it. How? Why would you be able to get into my tunnel? It's obvious.
Fill it with concrete.
It's obviously a problem. Do you want to check it out at all? Like, do you want to go inside of it to check it out, or do you want to just try and seal up this access port?
I'm going to like step through the opening and see like.
It's more of a crawl, but yeah.
Okay, but like, so going through the opening is just like it's sort of just a little side tunnel next to our own.
So what you'll note is that it looks like there's just a very narrow kind of like crawl space with like caged kind of material, and it looks like it's running over top wires, and then above it there are 6 pipes that seem to be kind of inside of this crawl space. It's very narrow. You're pretty sure that Crystal wouldn't be able to fit in here with a frame. You could probably fit in. It'll be tight. You could definitely stuff carbon in here, no problem. But it's a very narrow space, and the guy that kind of came through looked like he was, crawling in it based on his kind of just disheveled look when he popped out, and also his disheveled look when he got caught and ran like hell.
Draw that work.
Well, looking at it too, you wouldn't have seen this access port because it opens from inside the tunnel, not outside of it. So it's like,
is that the only one?
so if you pop into the tunnel and kind of track it down a bit, if you want to do that, we can do that. But otherwise, like checking down the way, it's going to be very hard to kind of find them.
Okay. First I'm gonna give Pepper the key that I put together for the door.
And she
just
says, I should be able to install it. I'll give it a go.
All right. I'm gonna go through the crawl space.
She looks at you and says, I don't think I'm going to fit. Looks over at Crystal. You might be able to fit without the frame. She,
I think we know a guy who might be able to fit.
Well, if you have someone that can go with you, I'd prefer you to have a gun on hand. just in case you're having to do something technical and don't have your eyes up.
Of course, of course.
Someone to watch your back. She
I
looks.
mean, I can go with them. I
She
just don't. I like my frame.
she looks at Crystal and says, "Well, if you have someone else that can go with you, um, pull them, and me and Crystal will go towards the door. I'll need someone to check my back while I'm trying to lock the door up."
I'm gonna signal to Carbon. Like, hey, Carbon, we need you down here.
Okay. I'll
You
make
got
my way
his
that way.
name right.
Pepper kind of drops back down into kind of duck walking mode and kind of starts moving down the passageway towards the door, kind of gesturing, hand signals towards Crystal to follow up. The two of you kind of move up, and once you get to the lock, start working on it. Meanwhile, Carbon, you get to Striker. Striker, you tell him the plan. Any contention, Carbon?
No, I'm good with it.
Two of you slide into the Jeffries and kind of move on your way. There don't appear to be any other access ports moving along, but what you end up realizing is that the way into this tunnelway is a sewer access that seems to go up and out. Do you want to check it out?
I'm gonna turn back to Carbon and be like, shall we?
You're the boss.
I'm gonna start climbing.
You ascend up. It looks like there is a magna lock at the top. So what that means is you've got like a large metal kind of disc setting on top with like kind of a hole that you can set a pry bar in, pull it up. But underneath that there is 3 large electromagnets and a switch. That switch is down. That thing is able to be moved, no problem. If the switch were activated, it would basically hold that down unless a utility spec came with basically an RFID key that can deactivate the switch from the other side. So the only people who should be able to enter this place would be utility, like professionals for the city, but apparently this was never turned on, and so this guy must have got in there. You do notice that the disc, the manhole cover, is kind of ajar.
I'm just gonna lift it up, and so I'm gonna move it out of the way just a little bit,
Okay.
and then try to like pop up with my gun.
When you pop up, you're out in the middle of nowhere. There's like tall grass, kind of dry brown grass. I don't know if you've ever been in California, but imagine the tops of the hills out there. And kind of looking around, you can see the outside of the premises some distance away, about the length of the tunnel away. And it seems that you are kind of in between your property and further on down the way, the property that was identified as being drummer for Samurai Denny's property, which is a good distance away. But there's this basically open expanse in between, and like kind of like a concrete kind of like rise, and then the top.
What do you see?
In theory, if we just turn this thing on, nobody's gonna be able to get in. Or we can fill the whole thing with
Okay.
concrete.
The funniest part about this whole like filling it in with concrete, and we keep on mentioning Denny's property. I can't. A spoiler. Never mind. Forget it. It's hilarious to me. But yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Well, I'm gonna just close it, hit the switch.
You hear it kind of humming, and you kind of hear a ka-tunk as it kind of settles more tightly to its position.
So this crawl space that we came through, it doesn't lead to like that road tunnel at all.
It basically comes out and then goes straight up, and it looks like the pipes go through the wall and kind of go out to it, but it looks like this is the access port for the city, you presume, to kind of get into that tunnel space. Looking around, you feel like you're kind of standing on top of where the tunnel would be, and if you look off to your right, you would see the walls that kind of surround the property the hacienda is in. it kind of has its own kind of park area that's kind of walled off with like really nice terrain inside. You can kind of see it's like shiny, light covered. It's the middle of the night, so light covered like building off in the distance a little bit, and then Night City obviously to what would be your left.
Okay. So yeah, I closed it. I hit
Locked
the
it.
switch. I'm gonna give it a good shove.
It's not moving. If you have any metal on you, like if you kind of touch it,
Like my entire arm.
you feel it connect for a second. You have to turn the switch off to get it off, and then hit the switch, and it snaps back to it.
I think that's in place.
Okay. Meanwhile, Pepper kind of gets the position, saddles the shotgun, moves over to the door, and starts kind of like ripping off the old lock and starts moving to put on the new lock. She kind of looks over her shoulder and then looks back at you and says, "How long have you been working with Stryker?"
Like 3 days.
Yeah. not too long. This is the second job I've done with him. He's pretty cool.
I think he works really well with you guys.
Yeah, he kind of fills in the spot that we were missing.
Yeah, seems like a good guy. Shrugs.
Yeah.
Shakes her head, and then kind of like keeps quiet as she kind of focuses on the task at hand. Do you say anything in the meantime as she's working?
Well, I kind of noticed. Obviously, I've been noticing that she's.
She doesn't seem to have a thing for Stryker because she
Yeah.
doesn't really swing that way.
Yeah. But I've been noticing that she's grumpy,
Yes.
and she's been kind of poking.
So if you're thinking on that, just go ahead and roll a d10. Add your intelligence.
Oh God, what is my intelligence? Character sheet. There we go. +7.
Yep. You're barely able to recall the name that she was complaining about. You rolled a 1. It's a fumble.
Okay, yeah.
You're barely able to recall the name of the person she was complaining about, you not knowing about, and that kind of pops into your head, and you're like, Ryan. And you keep on trying to think, who the fuck is Ryan? Why is it making her so mad at me? Like, you're just
Yeah.
kind of staring at the back of her head as she's, like, going to work and trying to wonder, like, because you and her used to work really well together. Like, operationally, as solos, you work really well together. But it appears that Pepper has some beef, and you don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
you're trying to think, who the fuck is Ryan? Apparently, it's
Yeah,
not-
going through every Ryan at the party, Ryan.
Do you pop open your phone and try and check your contacts?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And maybe, and I'm like kind of like mouthing the word, but not like,
Saying it.
yeah, kind of, like that whenever you're like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been there. So,
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
so, so,
celebrity Ryan, do I know him?
so, putting into context what you know about what you know, would you have this person in your contacts? And if so, would they have like a pet name in there that would make you like click it when you see it? Like Rai Rai or like, something.
Right.
something goofy, or would it just be Ryan in your phone? Would you even still have their phone contact?
My rigatoni.
I think.
Good lord.
Yeah, we'd still have it. Just because don't delete contacts, kind of person.
Okay.
I've never
Um,
deleted a contact in my life.
Oh, I personally have deleted so many,
I
but
have-
Crystal is like one of those people who just like doesn't delete them, just automatically reloads them onto the next phone, doesn't even give a shit, and then
Yeah.
if they ever get like a new phone that you can't load the contacts onto,
She'll hand do it.
will like, yeah, like who's this? I don't know. I probably know him.
I should just keep it just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Contact hoarder.
So whatever nickname you would assign to Ryan, you find, and you kind of take a couple of seconds there, and recall that what you know about Ryan.
Yeah.
And you don't understand why she's mad about it, but this is really the only Ryan that you know. This must be the person.
Yeah.
Well, it's the only Ryan that you know that matches the
Knows.
description of what you've got, yeah, and knows
Yeah.
Pepper.
Yeah. Do do they have like pictures like we have in like
Yeah,
our contacts?
yeah.
Okay. Um,
I would say that
so
the Ryan in question would probably be a redhead,
yeah.
just based on what we've got going in our back and forth. And again, if you don't remember the details of your situation with her, I can kind of throw out some details there if you would like, or you can make it up as you go along. It's entirely up to you.
Oh, no, it's good. Um, I was just gonna like flip the phone around and be like, "Wait, this Ryan?" Just
Pepper
be like, come bringing up the subject
Pepper turns
from
around,
like
looks at it,
ages ago.
looks up at you, kind of like you can see like her face kind of turn from focused and serious to focused and I want to murder you. And she kind of goes, just fucking drop it. She turns around and she gets back to work on the log.
You're the one who brought it up.
Look. Look, Crystal. She stops and she kind of turns around, gets up, and kind of like stands face to face with you. And she says, you know I felt the way I felt about her, okay? And you fucking had your fun, and you don't even remember her.
Look, I've dropped like I don't really party anymore. I'm just working. I care more about blowing off heads, cashing in coin. Sorry, do you want their number?
No, I don't.
Well, I don't know
Because,
what you want me to do. I'm sorry that I forgot about them, and I'm sorry that
look,
I fucked them.
look,
Like,
look, it's fine. Okay? It's fine. Striker seems to be a very good direction for you, keeps you focused on the job at hand. And maybe, you know, in the future, if you have a situation arise like, you know, someone as great as Ryan was, um, you know, you'll take full advantage of it instead of just using them. Okay?
okay. But wait, do you think Stryker and I have a thing?
No, I don't think Striker and you have a thing. I think he's a really good, like, mentor type. Like, he's going to give you direction in your life, okay? And I'm pretty sure
Wouldn't that be something?
he kind of
That
looks.
would be the weirdest thing.
She kind of looks at you and says, "I'm pretty sure he's probably already entangled in something already, as it stands."
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I don't have any proof of that or anything. I just have a gut feeling. Like, he seems like the person who has something invested. You know what I mean?
I'm not into DILFs anyways.
She's like, me neither. I'm not into dudes, period. Starts, gross.
Disgusting.
Starts working on her shit. Back upstairs, Calvin and Precious. Laura Napama comes out onto the porch, kind of yells over to you two. Hey, what's going on?
I've got a deeper understanding of Precious here, but I don't know how much it helps me.
She kind of looks at you and goes, well, if Missy passes on you, I mean, it might help you a lot. She starts walking towards the porch as Lara Napama's kind of walking towards her, and Lara passes her, walks over to you, kind of walks over to you and says, no, seriously, what's going on? Do you know?
Oh, with everybody else?
I heard some yelling, and I mean, all the security people are kind of moving away. Like, what's going on?
I guess at this point I would check my phone actually.
You would see the back and forth between Harvard and Calvin. You would see that there's an invite to enter a hollow like conversation that you didn't accept, which you could still accept if you wanted to. And it looks like there is a security breach that's been mentioned, and based on everything you can read, it's in the utility room down in the tunnelway.
I accepted. I told Laura, I was like, wow, I thought this was just like one of her guys, which is what I intended to talk to her about, but it seems like it's a bit more serious, actually.
Okay, well, what should we do? Should we stay inside or?
Yeah, you guys stay inside.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I guess I'll keep posted out here. Keep a watch.
Okay. I'll make sure that Missy and Precious are in the music room. We'll stay there with you. Okay.
All right.
Okay. She goes inside. You hear some yelling, and then when you enter back in, you come into the music room, and you would see that they have kind of all gathered. Missy
Good.
kind of looks at you as she kind of comes into the room. She's wearing pretty much what she was wearing this morning.
Eyes up.
And Missy says, "So what's going on?"
It seems like there's a legit security breach down in the tunnel. Oh,
It's pretty crazy, huh?
not as crazy as I would think, considering one of us, but
Precious kind of looks over to Missy and says, "He wouldn't let me watch them kill whoever it was." Missy kind of looks over to you and says, "So responsible."
it's not something people usually say about.
You can see Lara's face kind of twist up when Precious says, like, "I wanted to watch someone get shot." Like, she's kind of disgusted by the whole thought. And, yeah. Meanwhile, cutting back down, the two parties reconvene. Pepper looks over at Stryker as you kind of exit out of the tunnel.
Oh, wait, before we get out of the
Go
little
ahead.
tunnel, I was gonna converse with Stryker. I was gonna be like, so George, do you think that this is somewhere we should put like a door sensor or anything like that,
I'm gonna say yeah.
just in case? We never know
Yeah.
who might be coming through.
Even though we activated that magna lock, we don't know who has a key to that thing.
Yeah, you just as easily turn it back on. Who's to say someone who doesn't just come and turn it back off?
Yeah. What was your idea that you had back there?
Oh, I just mean I got my new baby, the Malorian arms, right here. I wanted to actually hook it up to something that similar to a net architecture that I could basically control if we don't have a turret.
Okay, out of character. What are the Malorian arms?
So the Malorian Arms pistol, it's Malorian Arms is a company, but the pistol in question, 3516, is a very heavy handgun. I'm about to post a picture of it in our Discord. 1 second. It has it was basically fashioned in the 2013s, but because of its super reliability, very connective kind of adaptability to cyber tech, and it's just mean, raw spirited, just damage output. It's kind of a favored weapon amongst street punks. It also has a bit of popularity in that it was the gun of choice for one Johnny Silverhand, a very famous rocker boy and terrorist, depending on which side of the law you're kind of looking at. But yeah, it's a beast of a hand cannon. And it just
Yeah,
straight
you
up
have to be able to connect it to
cybernetics.
I can't remember what it is. You have to be able to you have to have actual connectivity
Smart
to
Oh.
use it. You can't just
Okay.
shoot it like a normal
So it's
gun
like
either.
a smart gun or something.
smart gun, correct.
Essentially. So I wanted
Okay.
to connect it to myself in some way to utilize it from the tunnel.
Yeah.
Or anywhere else for that matter. If we have a turret for the tunnel, that obviously turrets are ideal. But somewhere close to me is where I can get it if necessary, but also control it.
When you're thinking
Okay.
when you're thinking about it for a handgun, the only way you would be able to do that is if you had a cyber arm that you could like rig up to be the turret and kind of create a mount for a cyber arm and use that as like a firing point. But you're thinking of the expense in that, and that's like way unpractical because you'd have to create a custom mount to hold a pistol, and you're thinking to yourself like, man, that'd be kind of cool, but like not cheap. And this is kind of a thought that you're having as you're kind of popping out, and you would see that the two ladies have kind of reascended up the tunnel. Pepper looks at you as you kind of spill out, says, "Lock's been secured," pulls out a welding torch, and kind of gestures to hand it to you. And as Carbon spills out, she like kind of takes a position, kind of looking down that way, kind of taps Crystal on the shoulder to have her look the other direction, basically turning your eyes away from the welding torch, which is key. I'm assuming you have tools that allow you to block out some vision and basically seal that panel up. Yeah,
Yeah, let's just say that I've got some goggles.
it'd be in your tech kit.
It would.
As that's kind of going on, I'm assuming your conversation kind of goes a little over as you're talking about the turret.
Yeah.
And you would overhear Pepper kind of tap Crystal and say, "Hey, I saw that Tsunami Arms Helix in your bag. We could set that up as a turret mount. Easy."
Yeah. It's my baby's lipstick.
Alright, well, if you want to hold on to it, hold on to it.
No, we could set it up if it's gonna be more useful here. Doesn't
Yay,
seem
I
like
get
we're
to
gonna
use
need it.
it.
Or
Better not break it.
there is that auto gun in the back of Calvin's truck.
Yeah, I thought that's what she was talking about.
Oh, now that we can
Oh,
Either way, she
the
shrugs.
other one's cooler.
Very quick weld job. You
It
basically
is.
hot seal it. It's not going to pop open very easily. A body of 13 would probably be required to pop it.
Okay.
And satisfied. You still set up a situation where you've got motion detectors down that tunnelway, and now you have a motion detector at this point instead. So the motion detector that was further up closer to the door is now settled here. And the tunnel doesn't appear to have any other access points besides the one that you popped in through. The lot of you kind of return back towards the house. Meanwhile, inside, Missy goes into the kitchen as the other two are kind of sitting there. Precious pulls out a vape and kind of starts toking off of that. You're very quick to note that the material inside doesn't appear to be just tobacco. It looks like she's kind of moved on to something a little bit harsher than just nicotine. Missy appears to make herself something snack-wise in the kitchen. And Lara De Palma seems very kind of weirded out and is very just paranoid looking, sitting on the bench with the piano.
Well, I'm curious about Laura, but I'm gonna go talk to Missy.
Okay. She looks at you and kind of whispers low. Are you planning on sleeping tonight?
Oh,
Like, whoa.
oh man, I was not the conversation I was planning on having, but I was gonna sleep outside, but
Okay. What were you gonna
I,
talk to
well,
her about?
I mean, if it's an open invite, I'm down.
She kind of laughs as she kind of like spoons whatever food she's in, and kind of looks at you. I just heard that some of you might be trying to sleep on the couches up in the loft. So I was just curious.
Hmm. But actually, I have a request.
Okay.
There are some really nice cars out.
Yeah.
I kind of have another job after this that's gonna need a pretty sweet ride.
Okay.
And like I'm assuming Calvin's able to tell, like,
Which one would be the fastest?
yeah, and it's probably gonna be her Mustang, right?
That would be the fastest, but you would know that whatever car you take into the situation is probably going to get like bullet holes and not so good. It's not going to be a great situation for the vehicle in question. You would look. You would have looked at the other cars, and you would probably say that the muscle car, the Chevilion, Thrax 348 would probably be the next best bet. It's pretty fast, except that it only has a top speed of 151 miles per hour. The main thing about it is that it gets to that very quickly. It's 0 to 100 in 30 seconds.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad.
It's actually very bad.
Is
But
it?
that's not great.
0 to 100 in what?
A lot of cars can get from 0 to 60 in
I'm sorry,
like
not
4
sorry,
seconds.
Sorry, I was reading the wrong one. Sorry, 0 to 100 in 5.3 seconds is what I was.
I was about to say my car in real life can get to 100 in like 9 seconds.
I'm not good at cars. I was reading it wrong.
It's not even manual.
5.3.
There you go.
So I kind of got a job going out into a really pretty dangerous car race, and your car looks really nice.
What's the job?
I'm doing what's it called? A race.
Street race.
Yeah, it's a street race.
Oh, I used to do that shit.
A real dangerous street race. Guns out.
Oh, I know. I used to roll with Sundre. Sounds fun. So, you're not touching my car.
That's what I expected.
Sure. I would suggest the Mizutani Shion or the Chevron Thrax 348. I
Fast.
don't drive either of them, and I don't think any of the girls are partial to cars. So, which one do you want?
The one with the sick acceleration.
Yeah.
Stop and go on a dime.
Actually, in all honesty, looking at the charts here, that one would probably suck. It does seem more sturdy. That's a better way of putting it. It looks like it's more sturdy. It looks like it would be better in like slamming cars, in bashing, and its top speed isn't the worst. The Shion,
Yepilon.
well, the Chevron is a top speed 151, pretty decent pickup, 5.3 seconds. Looking at the notes here, the Shion, the Mizutani that I mentioned, has a top speed of 185, and 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. It is much faster, but you know that it is carbon fiber, and will basically get shredded. So basically, fast and very fast. Fast is more structurally sound. Super fast is less structurally sound, but real fast.
I'm going fast. Just fast.
Super fast. Then the Mizuton is probably what you want to go for.
All right.
Okay. With that being said, the rest of the group gets back up into the house, and starts discussing kind of the setups for the next day. Yeah, I'm just going to ask with one closing question before we move on to the closing portion, because it is 9:30. Calvin, do you try and sleep in the house, or do you really sleep outside? She doesn't. She kind of leaves it ambiguous when you say,
Yeah?
I'm willing to accept the offer. So you sleep on the couch upstairs?
Calvin's gonna sleep outside.
Okay. All right.
What a gentleman.
We will pick up next session. The girls are in the music room as you kind of all enter in and kind of split off in a way once they are told like it's been cleared. But yeah, we'll pick up with the next day. And if anybody was wounded during the last session, those wounds are still present. Keep that in mind. But if you were just kind of lightly wounded, you weren't dealt more damage than half your hit points, you can go ahead and recover a number of hit points equal to your body. Alright, thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream. See you next time.
Die, stream.